Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all for being here for our in-between season 2 and 3 Fireside Chat question and answer session. This is a very special session. We've not done one of these. The last time we kind of sat down like this and talked out of character for a lengthy period of time was way back in session 0 before we ever started this whole shebang. And I'm very excited as we talk about characters and what's going on with the story today to have with us Pope from Legion as our moderator for our chat today. How are you doing today, Pope?
Doing quite well. I've been looking forward to this with bated breath. Though that does remind me, I need to do something real quick. Sort of a starting tradition with me. Let's see here. Control. There we go. That makes everything right, because we just have to give Don more work before the season even starts.
Oh no. Well, I did not. I anticipated many things happening tonight, and that was not one of them. But excellent. Yes, my brain is already going to start spinning here about that in just a second. Thank you very much. I guess I will. Now's as good a time as any to point out that we do have donations underneath. We do have 2 polls, both of which just got hit, that are special polls just for tonight for this question and answer session. So we'll get those up here in a second. But yeah, there are some things changing, and we'll talk more about that, what the season is going to be like, what's different, what's the same going forward. But Pope, we started talking about doing a question and answer session. I think you first mentioned it. It's been months now.
Yeah.
The first time you mentioned it.
I think it was back like towards the end of February, beginning of March, where it's just there has been so much that has happened over the course of these 2 seasons, where there's just so many questions, both hyper specific and generalized, that I am certain that not just myself, but the rest of Legion has. So just getting a chance, it means the world to sit down with you wonderful people and pick your brains.
I really like the idea the first time you mentioned it. One of the things that I really, really love about our community here, the people who watch, the people who check us out and talk to us on Discord, all the different people who come in and play in our various games on the channel. It's a community of people who they both love good stories and they love to tell good stories. And so that's a special, very unique thing that I think we have here. And I know you're the same way. So I'm excited to talk to you about everything tonight. I'm kind of sweating a little bit because I know you've had time to prepare a long list of questions, and hopefully we will have some answers without giving too many things away. That's my goal, is not to accidentally let something slip that I shouldn't. That's my biggest fear tonight. But yeah, I'm really excited. I love the idea when you first mentioned it. I love it now. Hopefully it's something we'll be able to do again in the future moving forward. I think it's really, really fun. And we're going to be meeting a brand new regular cast member tonight, Charlie, who is going to tell us about her character for the first time, however much she wants to tell us about her character. We're going to go ahead. Let's bring in everybody and go around and say hello to all of our friends. It feels like it's been forever. I know it's only been a few weeks, but it feels like it's been forever. Hi, everybody. Welcome. So before we get started with the actual question and answer session, I'd like to just go around, say hello, who you are, remind us who you're playing, and if there's something that has been on your brain since the end of last season, something you're thinking about for your character or just in general, feel free to share that too. And Greg, hi, man. How are you doing?
Hey, buddy. How's it going? I'm
Good.
right as the rain. I'm here to sit very still and talk a little Dragonlance, talk a little Cerirdan. Back to you, bud.
We established that Greg is a trooper and a champion before this episode started. I'm sure Sir Reardon's going to get a lot of questions tonight. I have a feeling. But in the meantime, let's go over to Tia. Hi, Tia. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It is in fact today, and I woke up on time for the show, so I'm really proud of myself. I am playing Honoria, which is to date one of, if not my favorite wizard to play so far. She combines a lot of different aspects that I like to bring in from early days of Yawn D&D to the newfangled whatever these kids are doing, and I'm super excited for tonight's questions.
So, and great choice of background too. I don't know if anybody can see our background besides us, but somehow we ended up. It's like when you wear the same T-shirt on accident. So,
I mean, we're both in love with wizards, so I think it's kind of like
it makes sense. I'm excited to see what questions you get tonight too, because I think some of the trickier stuff, some of the really super specific time fuckery Dragonlance stuff, a lot of that kind of involves Honoria, and I don't even know what you're thinking.
I'm revealing nothing. This Q&A session is a waste of time. I'm just gonna sit here and drink coffee.
Awesome. Well, we'll go on to Kiana then. Hey, Kiana.
Hello. I'm making polls, but apparently straw poll is having a time. So just give it a hot minute until I maybe have to switch over to another site. But I'm excited to be here. I missed you guys so much, and it's nice to just be here and sitting with you guys at the same table again. Even if it's just to answer some questions, because I'm sure there are a lot of those. I have a lot of questions. And I'm sure there are a lot of people with questions about Avrin, who makes very questionable choices and does a lot of things that probably need some explanation as to why she chose to do those things. So I'm interested to see.
I watched Greg's eyebrows
raised. So I have that effect. It's what happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you back. Of course, I love Avrin. Also, congratulations. Anybody in chat who doesn't know, Kiana just finished school. She just finished college and her thesis. That's amazing.
Yay. I'm done.
Yeah, so, and I read the entire thesis, what you shared too on Twitter. So if you are on Twitter and you follow Kiana there, check out what she wrote. It's pretty fucking smart. I had to read it a couple of times, so, but awesome. Well, let's go on over to my good buddy, Bill. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing awesome. Really looking forward to hanging out with y'all and talking some Dungeons and Dragons. It's been a minute. I miss y'all. I miss y'all when we're not in chat, but I especially miss you guys when we're in chat. Looking forward to hopefully answering some questions and having a great time with everybody.
Tia makes a really good point, that this is the least Minotaur that you've looked in a long time.
Yeah, I've had makeup on, and I sit down and I can scratch my face now, and I can't scratch my face when I have 3 pounds of Ben Nye black matte makeup on.
Boy, I feel that so hard you don't even know.
Also, congratulations, Kiana. Congratulations for finishing school. You've got your whole life ahead of you.
Yay, adulting.
I feel like there's like a missing note to that, which is don't make our mistakes.
Right. You still have time. Not too late for you.
We're here digging our graves.
Okay, I'm young. I'm not that young.
Oh, man. Well, let's go on over and meet our newest cast member, my good friend, Charlie. I'm so glad that you're with us. And we started talking about this a while back, and now it's happening, and I'm so excited. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm scared. I keep waiting for you to turn around and go, got you. But at the same time, like, that's the emotion you have, though, when you're playing with one of the best casts in one of the best games out there in the streaming community right now. So I'm very excited. We have been working on this a long time. Got some really cool stuff coming up, I think. And yeah, I'm just hoping that my current dice plague does not continue and that I can roll above a 4, because that would be real freaking great. But yeah, I'm playing Agatha Moonrock, who's a hill dwarf. And yeah, that's my new character.
That's it. That's all there is to it.
She's real simple. It's 2 lines.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
She has a very fine beard. She's a very.
She does. She is a bearded dwarven lady.
Excellent. I'm really excited. I think I'm probably the only person who really knows very much about the Agatha story, but it's awesome. I'm really super hyped for it. I can't wait, and we'll find out more about that tonight, and then even more next week once we get into the main season and whatnot. Well, real quick, because I'm about to turn things over to Pope. Before I do, there's a couple of things I want to point out. As always, there are ways that you can support the show down below. Some of those things have changed since last season, so they're worth checking out. There's no more, and part of it becomes for the next part of what I have to say, which is that season 3 is going to be a little longer than our previous seasons, and part of that is because it is going to be the final season of May Black Roses Bloom, though that doesn't mean that this is our last adventure in Dragonlance or that with this cast. This particular campaign, this particular story will end even if the characters go on. You know, there's no set plans for the characters.
I am not letting go of Honoria. You can't make me.
I'm gonna try. But that's why some of the donations at the bottom have changed, so do check those out. And I'm really excited because everything is set up perfectly. We have like everything in place, and I think this final season is going to be really epic for all the characters involved. But that's all I have to say. Hope.
I've got just a real quick thing for all of our Legion fans who are here right now. I just wanted to say that our friends over at Mage Hand Press have become even bigger fans and friends of the show. Here, I will put this up in chat. If you would like to go over to Mage Hand Press and you would like to type in the code GrimTales, you'll get 15% off anything that you want over there.
Oh, that's fucking awesome!
So type in a little GrimTales, which it's Grim and a space and then
Look
Tales.
At that little turtle on their men and monsters. It's so cute.
I 100% recommend checking out Dark Matter if you haven't checked that out. But also that Weird West supplement is really fun.
Yeah,
a lot of super great stuff over there, and super straight fans, everyone. So please just join up, use GrimTales, get 15% off your order. Enjoy. And also the Die Hard Dice Cam returns, as does May Black Roses Bloom next week. And I will throw that up again and let everybody know before we get and turn it over to Pope. I'm sorry, I'm moving super slow because I can't move as fast as I normally can. Die Hard Dice, everybody, if you type in the code The Grim, you'll get 15% off your next order. Mage Hand Press, Die Hard Dice. That fulfills every Christmas wish list. Check the boxes. It's April, whatever. Go ahead. treat yourself, everyone. So over to you, Don Pope.
Oh yeah, I will say this: if you are checking out Mage Hand Press, they do have, in my opinion, and I've done a fair amount of research, the best Chronomancer class attempt adaptation that I've seen, and that's kind of relevant. So if you are looking at doing some Dragonlance 5th edition stuff, it's definitely worth checking out for that alone. But yeah, I love those guys. And Dark Matter, I've had the opportunity to check that out, the pre-release of it, because of reasons. And I can vouch it's one of the best 5th edition books that I've seen come out on the indie market. So definitely check that out. But that's awesome. Pope, hi buddy. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, most things usually have a beginning, middle, and end. So we'll try for once with this group of people to try for the beginning. So while some of you may have answered this question before, we have a few new people. So with that, what's everyone's previous experience with Dragonlance and Ravenloft?
I'll start with that. I played an awful lot of both, but especially Ravenloft growing up. I didn't start in 1st edition, but I did start in 2nd edition. And that's really when Ravenloft blew up. now Ravenloft is kind of synonymous with Curse of Strahd, but there is a lot there, including a realm called Sithicus, which kind of interlaced with Dragonlance, and that Lord Soth was the Dark Lord of Sithicus. He actually got sucked from Dragonlance into Ravenloft. People don't like to talk about it. It's very controversial as to whether or not it was a good thing or a bad thing. But I might mixed opinions about it too, but I remember playing a game in Sithicus when I was a teenager, and some of the characters there were so good and so interesting. And while our game isn't officially Ravenloft, there are characters from that canon that I've kind of imported over because they, as a kid growing up, they were some of my favorite dark fantasy stories. So that's my experience. We can just go around. Greg.
My experience with Ravenloft was it was the very, 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 very first thing I ever played in AD&D was Ravenloft. I was invited in because a couple high school kids needed somebody else to come in. I was the cleric. Guess who lived? That's right, it was fucking me. Now with Dragonlance, as I've said before, I am a Sturm Brightblade Mark fan, brother, loved one since the beginning of time. As soon as that mustachioed effer walked into my life, he was everything to me. I said it before, I'll say it again. When his sun shattered, so did mine. I'm going to tell you this too. Sir Reardon was born the day that Sturm Brightblade went down. And if there's anything I can do, I'm changing that shit. Back to you guys.
That's definitely something that we've seeded into the story that I'm excited to find out more about what that could even possibly mean. But in the meantime, let's reverse it. Kiana, what was your experience with Ravenloft and Dragonlance?
So I had a bit of Ravenloft before starting this game. I co-DM'd a Curse of Strahd game. I came in during 5th edition, so that was one of my first instructions to it. And I even ran as part of my monthly module, monthly series on the Academy. I did Ravenloft for a full month, which was awesome because I got to delve into all of the stuff outside of Curse of Strahd. As for Dragonlance, I knew nothing coming into the show. It was super interesting because I was teaching myself basically from the Dragonlance Nexus and from what the rest of the cast was telling me about. And that was an interesting time, especially at the beginning of the campaign where everyone was flipping their shit about, Reardon fighting Soth, and I was like, who? Why is everyone freaking out? I don't know what's happening. So that was a time, and then I searched him up halfway through the fight. I was like, oh shit, okay, here we are. So that's basically what it was. It's been a process of learning it as we go, but I super love it.
That's awesome. Tia, would you like to share your experience with Ravenloft and Dragonlance?
Dragonlance, I grew up with. It was a series of novels that followed me from teenage to later teenage to adult. I found a way to bond with almost every individual character, especially Kit Tiara at first, because she was the older sister. I have 2 younger brothers, one who is mentally disabled, and the strength that she showed from having to take care of her family while her parents weren't really there. My parents, they weren't really there either, was something that gave me a lot of strength. I can be badass like Kit too. And then as my brothers became a little bit older, a little bit more self-aware, self-sufficient, I really started to make a good and strong bond with Raistlin. His ability to just kind of withdraw in himself and be the smartest guy in the room was something that I always wanted, I guess. Dragonlance has so much emotional meaning to me. I understand, especially with Greg when he talks about Sturm. When I think of any of the Mijirs, when I think about Takesis, even there's a lot of empathy and understanding. Dragonlance is the very first thing that got me into Dungeons and Dragons. Before I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, I was reading about Dragonlance, And with Ravenloft was my first serious one-on-one campaign where Laurelania was born, a character name that I have used as my gamer handle here, there, and everywhere on the internet. And I loved Ravenloft because of how fucked up it was. That anything that you did affected you, not just mentally, but physically. And I kind of really loved that Ravenloft was one of the first, if not only, D&D settings that reflected, everybody says, you know, beauty is on the inside. Well, so is how ugly you are. It's on the inside, and that can come out and be pulled out of you inside of Ravenloft. I didn't learn until I'd say about 7 years ago that Soth took Kit to Ravenloft and turned all the Kender into vampires, and I just kind of went, hey, that's good. So that's my experience with Dragonlance and Ravenloft.
Charlie, what is you get to you finally about your experience and getting us a little bit of a taste of what you know about Dragonlance and Ravenloft?
I am just having this moment processing Vampire Kender that I think we all need to take a moment to enjoy this image of these tiny munchkins with their tiny little fangies. And how mad I am about it.
Aaron could tell you about them. They're not fun.
They sound delightful to me. This is the kind of people you'd have at a teddy bear's picnic in Ravenloft. With that aside, Dragonlance is totally new to me. I've had a crazy couple of months trying to learn a lot of lore for a lot of different games. But I've been taking my homework very seriously because this game is intense and I want to be up to speed. But it's been also really great to sit down and watch the game played out and take in the lore that's being made here and how it swells around all of that existing canon. I have played through Curse of Strahd. That's probably about as close as I got to Ravenloft. And I killed Strahd. So I think that counts as being very intimate with Ravenloft. I also killed Baba Yaga, which is the harder of the fights in the Curse of Strahd module, as anyone who's been through that will know. But yeah, so this is all very new to me. I'm a wee sweet baby in the heavy lore of all of this D&D stuff. I've played a lot of D&D, but mostly in homebrew settings and in new campaigns. So this is all very new to me. I did have the joy of just playing Adventures in Middle-earth and getting to play through some Hobbit stuff, and I was like, I know about this shit! I can do this! But I'm very excited to have that same feeling. Diving into this beautiful dark age that Dawn has thrown across the world and sucked us all into, and torn us all apart, and rebuilds us as horrible, grotesque flesh golems of our former selves.
Yeah, Dark Fates. Speaking of Dark Fates, hey Billy.
Hey, what's up, man? So I grew up like my first like group of friends whenever you start officially being social or whatever in like elementary school, got me on to Dragonlance, and then we would all pretend to be the characters in recess and like play and like fight each other, and like everyone else was like we had a Tannis, we had a Raceland, and I'm like, I didn't know the book, so I'm like, hey guys, who can I be? And I'm like, you could be Caramon, and I'm like, I didn't know a lot. I'm like, what's Caramon like? He's like, well, he's big like you, and he's kind of dumb like you, so I think you'll be fine. So it hurt at first, but like reading through Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Winter's Night, Spring Dawning, and then Time of the Twins, like Caramon's way fucking better. You can't just pigeonhole him into being like big and strong and dumb. He is remarkably complex and super, super great. So I had an attachment to him early on because like I was him before I knew who he was. And as far as Ravenloft goes, I read I Strahd, and for me as a kid, that was like the first individual complex villainous person that I had like come across. Like this guy has, like, you're seeing things from his point of view. You're seeing things the way he digests stuff, and like he's got a set of good and bad, just like everybody else has a set of good and bad. And there's the world thinks that he's just like a bad person. but it kind of like I take it to heart, and playing in this world is so humbling to be a part of my own dreams. And it's like I have to serve this. I have to do this the most amount of justice that I can possibly muster, to play with people, to progress a meaningful story forward, and to interact with people who have the same value in all of their characters that I have in mind. It's just like the heaviness of that shit walking in here every Wednesday is like, it's no joke, but it's done wonderful things for my life on a regular basis. And that's all because, you know, Caramon was forced upon me as an elementary school kid.
Well, that actually transitions to something I already had. You mentioning just the A game that everyone brings week in, week out. And what is it particularly about this story that brings that out of all of you? I really, really want to know. Greg, we'll start with you.
Fear. Straight fucking fear. No, I mean, I joke, but in many ways, that's exactly what it is. When I created Sir Reardon, I was a kid when I made him up in my head, and I never played him. I've never played him in anything. I wrote him up in AD&D. I had him all statted out, kind of put him away for that perfect time to play, and never played him. And then Don was like, hey man, Dragonlance. And I was like, I got a guy. And because that guy waited for all those decades, in the back of my head, just sitting back there, holding absolution and getting ready to rock, every Wednesday, I listen to my Sir Reardon soundtrack, and fear dominates my heart, not for the monsters that we'll face or the trials that Don will put us through, but fear that I know I need to do my best, not for me, pardon Legion, not for you all, not even for the company that I go. It's for that guy that held court in my head for the past 3 decades. I got to do it for Sir Reardon, and that's why I show up and try to give it everything I got. I have a guy that got me through a lot, and I'm going to get him through a lot this time.
Speaking of that sort of long march, Tia.
Damn, I see what you did there. All right. That actually is such a great way to throw into it, because I empathize with Greg so hard on this, because I've been trying to play the perfect wizard my entire D&D career, for lack of a better term. And I'm talking about before Twitch as well. And it wasn't a case of I hadn't tried to bring her out, because I had, but it didn't work with the groups. It wasn't the right campaign. It wasn't the right setting. And then here, it just, seeing everybody's passion for either D&D or for Dragonlance, and just knowing, like, I think I said it in session 0, like, none of us are treating this like a Twitch production. None of us, I think, really are even aware that the cameras are there when we're playing. And I love my cast. I'm so lucky. But I gotta say, like, the largest portion of it goes to Don. Don is a incredible fucking inspiration. He pulls something out of D&D in me, and I've messaged him privately on several occasions saying thank you for this, because it just, I don't feel like a 32-year-old woman sitting down in a chair. I get that same hype for D&D where we'd go and buy like a shit ton of candy and cherry Coca-Cola to bribe the DM with, and sit down and just almost psychotically get into character. It's not just okay, you know, I'm playing Honoria. It's like, I am Honoria now. This is who I am. Everything that is happening in the world, the real world, fades away, and this is what it is now. And I also, actually, to help me with that, something that I'll share in chat, I listen to the same song on repeat up to 4 hours at a time with my Moonlight Sonata. It sets the tone for Honoria. It makes me very somber. That exact song. I know a lot of people have different playlists and different music for characters, but this is definitely mental conditioning as well.
Speaking of conditioning, Kiana.
Savage! Oh my god!
Yes.
No.
Oh boy.
Carrie?
Okay, so that's one way to start it. I'm a super, how do you say it? I'm a highly empathetic person. A lot of the energy I pull in everyday life comes from my surroundings and comes from the people I interact with. And so a lot of where I come from with doing role playing stuff comes from pulling from the rest of the group. A lot of it subconscious on my own part of just trying to match that, but also like I want to try to add to this like story that we're creating. And then on a more personal character side, like Avron's a very heavy emotional character, and she's kind of a place where I can explore a lot of things that you can't really explore in real life, and a lot of emotions that you can kind of delve into in a safe space. And so a lot of that comes from me wanting to really delve into that, and then just having a crew and an environment and a show and all the people who watch it and that community be able to support that, and me being able to pull that energy and feed it back into the game and the story we're creating. So it is kind of, in a weird way, it's a very feedback system-y thing that happens very subconsciously, but it's never like I need to do a good job. It's always because everyone's so amazing. It just keeps going.
Yeah, and speaking of just like this feeling more like a performance and that emotional feedback, Billy.
I mean, well, first off, Don and I have a history. So we've been like best buds for 10 years. We started work at the same theater company around the same time, and his first night staying in the apartment that he was staying in, his roommate was hosting a D&D night. And I'm like, hey man, you play D&D? He's like, hey man, you play D&D? He's like, oh, I've done a little in the past. Just maybe a little. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, like you're more than welcome to hop in on this game if you want. And he's like, well, no, I'm just going to kind of chill out here. And then like, I'll let you know. And then that turned out to be like, I don't know, what was it? Like a 3-year campaign. And then we took like we moved apartments and we got into relationships and kind of life was happening. And like, man, we really got to get started. We got to, like, man, I'm missing this for my life. We got to do this. And then we set up something with one other friend where he DM'd and it was just one other person. And that we added 2 more people over time. That was a 4-year campaign. And then he started getting into like live streaming and he was telling me about it. So like Don and I are invested people. We've come from the same general spot for like a decade in terms of the amount of energy we will put into quality of work, how much story matters, how much character matters, and then just with how much stock everybody is putting into this. Like that's the most important part, because maybe to Legion, they're getting just a really entertaining story. But to us, all these threads in this tapestry are so much heavier to the individuals like that are, you know, taking part, that are investing in these threads. We all have ties in our past, and this is a stage. We found this stage, thank goodness for fucking Greg and his channel, to like find these people and like, all right, these people can shine. Let's fucking let them shine. There's minimal, if any, restrictions to anything anybody wants to do, and we're all adapting to each other. So if like in terms of colors, like you have all different colors in a rainbow, but people still cry when they see a fucking rainbow. And that, being a part of this group every day, knowing that everybody's going to bring either more RP heavy, more combat oriented, anything like that, is just, it blows my mind. The way that you can play Dungeons and Dragons, for me, has expanded 40-fold since being a part of this group. And normally I was just, big gorilla man likes combat because I can't beat people up in real life. But like seeing how beautiful and therapeutic all of this stuff is really, really rewarding to be a part of.
And speaking of that beauty, let's talk to the painter, Dawn.
Oh man, I think there's two things for me that really drive me. Maybe three things, but the biggest one Greg touched on is fear. I would say, and for me, that fear is like it's multi-level. First off, we're trying to tell a story, a Dragonlance story with Dragonlance characters, and that's kind of like sacred ground, and for a lot of people in the community, and like the fact that I have to, have a voice for Raceland and have motivations for Raceland and all these different characters that people love. That's scary for me. I want to do it justice. So I want to work hard towards it. And I fear that, I'm not going to give the folks that I'm playing with, the players, the best possible experience, because I want them to have the most fun. I want them to get the most out of their characters. So like if I don't let them have agency, or if I don't think about their agency, or if I don't think about, how they're feeling about the way the story's going or about their characters, then, they might not have fun. And to me, that's terrifying. And then for the community too, when we started this, I didn't know folks were gonna get so heavily invested in it. It's amazing. It's literally it's a dream to have people watch you play D&D, and for them to love the story and become as invested in the story as you are, is really special. And that because of how special it is, I feel a lot of responsibility to make sure that it continues to be that way. And everyone in the cast is so goddamn good at what they do and playing their characters and just being fun people to be around. So the fear of not taking that responsibility seriously is real for me. And part of that might be a little bit of like an obsessive quality in my personality, which is definitely a thing. And then the last of it is Greg. It wasn't my idea to DM on stream. It wasn't my idea to do. I wanted to do a Dragonlance campaign, but I was thinking about a home campaign and just kind of tweeted about it randomly because I was reading through some old books. And Greg reached out to me and he invited me to think about doing this. And he, brought me onto his channel, which I have a lot of love for because I started streaming with Greg and he was at the same time starting Project Athena. And I had never seen anything like it before. It completely changed my perspective on how a game could be like television. That was, and I'd seen Critical Role and I love Critical Role, but Athena for me was something different. And it was exactly what I wanted. It's exactly where, and I didn't know it yet, but when I saw it, I knew it. And so to get to, have a chance to share this story with so many incredible people in the community and with my friends, who are all super talented and cool. That's the fear.
And speaking of friends and fear, Charlie, how are you feeling coming into all this?
I think that's a very appropriate summary. Friends and fear. Honestly, these are some of the nicest people you'll ever get to interact with. And there is so much backstage discussion that goes on about daily lives, about memes, about just everything. And it's just wonderful because it feels almost like a home game because you've got all of that chat in the shit that goes on. But then you remember these are intensely serious role players, and this is such a real and wonderful story that's being built. And that's really cool too. And the more I play role plays and do different game systems, the more I realize how important story is to me. And I can only echo how amazing what it is that Don is making here and is building and taking an established canon, something that is as established as Dragonlance, and still finding that space to make your own, to add to it, to use it is amazing. But yeah, it's just the power of everyone here is incredible, from just being amazing human beings to the story that's being created. I am super excited. As much as I'm scared, super excited. And honestly, I really wanted to put my beard on tonight because I was like, this is it. Go time. Beard time.
Speaking of beards and go time, each of these characters has felt distinctly of Kryn. Amazingly so. So much so that I know it has been mentioned in Legion, like trying to petition Margaret to make these characters canon. I can already know some of the answers here of how that's come to pass, but I would really like to hear from each of you what you have done to really build these characters in such a way that they feel like they've always been there. They've always been a part of Kryn. And I think, Charlie, we should really start with you, as you're the first person, stepping up into the plate. You've just gone through this process of making someone who fits this world.
So I think the main thing for me has been having Don be the skilled DM that he is, and knowing how important the work is in those session zeros and in priming your player for what they're going to face, managing expectations, building expectations, and working with someone and collaborating on the sort of person they want to play and how that's going to work and interact with the rest of your team and with the rest of the world. And just providing the resources and being there and listening to what they really want. And then you listen back to your DM or to your other players, and you come up with these cool hooks and you build into the world, and it feels all the more real because you are grounded in that world and it is part of you, part of your character, and part of your goals. So that's kind of my perspective on it. Is it just comes down to working with your DM on what they expect and what you expect, and running from there.
Speaking of hooks, care to share any with the chat?
Oh, I see.
Yes. Go on.
Agatha is from the Age of Despair.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, getting something rather than nothing, I'll take it. I will take it, and I will sip my tea. And speaking of tight lips, hi Tia. How did Honoria come about? And I'm also just a little bit curious. So, adding on to the question, of all the
My security blanket for this. Hang on. Okay,
yeah,
ready.
grab it. Of all the schools of magic, abjuration for a black cloak?
Yeah, so there is nothing set for the different cloaks of magic right now in 5th edition, so I knew I could get a little bit more room with that. This is going to be a tale. I don't even know where to begin. The fear of everything that goes on in Dragonlance and my character's backstory specifically about wanting to live is actually something that's tied through all of my wizard characters. When I say that I have been holding this character in my heart for a long time, I really, really mean it. And usually I'm either a necromancer to make that story come to life. However, because of all of the undeath in Ravenloft, and because Fistandantilus and his story and Raceland and the longevity of life and the Bloodstone, I thought that might be a little corny to bring into this. And as much as I wanted to, I'm really happy that I settled on my School of Magic, because it really develops with her story. At first, she is concerned about keeping herself safe, keeping herself alive. And as Raceland says, your friends, your tools, use them, bring them in, then that kind of shield can go out and protect her friends. And it really helps along with her plot points, for lack of a better description, to making her feel like a part of Dragonlance. I actually asked Margaret Weiss to name my character, Honoria Slanthus. I gave her a little gist of what the campaign was about. and she named my character, which I was blown away that she even responded to me, for one. But not only does she respond, she is amazing when it comes to supporting the show. She retweets all the time. She interacts with all of the cast members. She's even gone as far as putting the campaign on her own on her Facebook. And I think that's another driving thing. And I don't want to speak for all of the cast here, but I think that's a huge driving force for us when it comes to playing our characters and taking this campaign very seriously, is we know that the goddamn creator of Dragonlance is out there and has a little piece of us at least floating around in her brain from time to time, which is really special. So the character has always been alive for me, has always lived in Dragonlance somewhere, is part of the wizard that I've always wanted to play, and it was named by Margaret, so that's why she feels like she's just always been there for me, I guess.
That definitely speaks to how a lot of us feel about Honoria.
She's always there. I know. I'm sorry.
She's always there, but also she's probably our favorite black robe, and that says a lot.
I'll let Raceling hear that.
And Raceling can go and fight himself. Speaking of fighting with yourself, Kiana, how did you go about with Avrin?
I feel these segues feel a little targeted, not gonna lie. In the most loving way.
I love it so much. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, Tia. We should talk each other out of love anyways. So with Avrin, it's interesting. Again, I came into this campaign not knowing anything about Dragonlance. So it was this very interesting process. Part of it, Charlie touched on that Dawn was really good at creating this campaign Bible and these expectations and this kind of set out these groundwork for what kind of characters and world we're working with, and that helped a lot. And then with Avrin, it's just, for her, I ended up giving a lot of just general things and then handed it over to Dawn for details. I was like, I don't really know like where an Assassin's Guild would fit in. I don't really know who the Assassin's Guild leader would be, really. I have some basic ideas, here you go. And he just kind of took it and ran with it. And like the whole thing about Hawk being fist and danceless was a total surprise to me. So I think if you watch that episode, you can see me flipping my shit because I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
No, that moment was something special for me, particularly because I knew Hawk when in his first appearance wasn't a character in the world, but he felt too familiar. So I was suspicious of that bastard from the beginning. And the was just absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So a lot of it was I think Avrin is a character that if I had just created her without the campaign Bible and everything, she could have fit in a lot of different settings. I set out to try to do a very universal examination of like those type of emotions of revenge and redemption. And then it just happened because of the way that Dawn helped me and we worked together to create the personal history, a very fucked up personal history that tied directly into the world of Dragonlance, that we managed to create a character that fits in with the world and the world that we're creating as a group.
And that character, with that collaboration, has been very much cemented, grounded, almost in a way a cornerstone of this story. And going to another cornerstone, hey Greg, and a story that is deeply, deeply a part of this world. We know that Riordan's been a part of your life for a decade. And it comes from this love of Sturm. But
God bless you for saying decade, by the way.
Yes, it has nothing to do about it. But when it comes to time, anyway, it's there is so much with Riordan that makes him a part of Kryn, from how he interacts with the other characters, him abiding by the knightly code, his obsession with trying to save Sturm, and this relationship with Lorana, all have come apart to really take the entire audience on this ride that feels distinctly Dragonlance. And I really want to know how all those little pieces came together.
It didn't just happen. It was when I was. It seems like a cop out. When I was a kid, and I was reading Dragonlance, and I Kitiara and Lorana, when I read them, I loved them both, and then I realized Kitiara kills Sturm. Fuck her, and Lorana, because of the Golden General and everything that happened, I found myself, obviously the creator of Reardon, falling in love not with a romantically, but as a champion would, as a soldier would. And that's when the backstory of Riordan continued to grow. And he was a path warden, and he was the second son, and he, my hatred for Tanis Half-Elven grew. There's nothing rooted that says that I should hate him as much as I do, other than this. And I do. I hate that fucking half-elf. I despise him for no other reason than Reardon and I are tag team partners, and that's how he feels. I didn't plan to have a character that was Dragonlance. I just had a friend that showed up when I was reading Dragonlance, and my life was fucking shit, man. And this fucking knight in shining armor showed up and hung out, and he got me and I got him, and he was flawed and so was I. And as we grew up and I waited for a time to use him, man, he was Dragonlance, and I didn't have to do a thing. I put on some armor, man.
Well, speaking of friends and flaws, Billy, tell us about Rook-On.
What would you like to know about Rook-On?
Again, how you came about with this character that I think more so than any other that we've seen so far go on this incredible arc. Like, when you read about the Minotaurs of Krynn, you read about their fierceness, you read about their pride and pounding people into dust, and we've seen over these 2 seasons Rook-On coming from a place of wanting to die, wanting a release from all of this, to being what in no other terms can be referred to as a defiant hero that wants to live.
All right, so I'm gonna try to talk through this without like giving too much away going into the future. But like, yeah, so there is an image in your head that, like, when you think about Minotaurs, you kind of like type them as stuff, but they're just as organic as every other race, right? They have a strong culture, but that doesn't mean that there isn't love there, that there isn't passion and compassion there for like the people that they're close to. They just show it differently, right? So the nature of Rook-On is he had a rough upbringing, but he found a way to succeed, because in Minotaur culture, you're in a world where might actually makes right. Like, you can fight your way to the top, and if you're like, and you fight your way to the top and be a horrible, like a shit leader, and people will still like, nah, well, he followed the rules, so like, yeah, like he got elected and is covered in fucking bullshit, but like, yeah, whatever. But with this, like, he was able to earn his way, and he was figuring stuff out as he went along. Like the suffix to his first name indicates that he doesn't have like a traceable bloodline. He's got a clan, right? The clan chose to take him in because it proved to be of some value. But as he grew up, he didn't have a whole lot but himself. And he had the very few amount of friends that were able to make connections and converse with him that, that we saw in his flashback, despite all that having that bloodline is super important in this culture. But the arc doesn't come necessarily from that. That's the starting point. The arc comes from putting yourself in a situation where everything means so much. So your best friend, your crush, or the person you were in love with, and like you lose both those people, and you, because of your actions, this is all in the flashback. If you haven't watched it, I'm gonna spoil some shit. Because of Rukon's actions, everybody that he's cared about is fucking gone. And with the time fuckery that went down, he saw one of them get murdered before his eyes, and he fucked up the thing with his best friend. So the slavers came, zero morale. Of course they got captured. And he spent years trying to recover from that, being whipped and having the shit kicked out of him every day. Like, that'll teach you a lot about a person. So coming out of that into episode 1 with Don's famous the thunk. Coming into that, that's the trajectory he was in. Like, what did he have? He didn't have anything to live for. It's like, cool, you if you survive this battle, you've earned your freedom. Cool. What the fuck is Rukon gonna do with freedom? He's got nobody. He's ruined everything in his entire life until, you see slowly over the course of the time how the people that he's around affect him. That starts from Riordan, that starts from Sabria, that goes to Averin, that goes to Honoria, and everybody else. Like, he was there was nothing that was beneath him. So he was absorbing things from other people to move forward, to see things from a different perspective. And a lot of that emotion comes from, obviously, like a personal connection, placing yourself in a situation where you can harness those emotions like you're painting a picture, and the emotions are colors on your palette. And you have to be able to pick those up and paint with them. Like, you can't fake that shit, so it's kind of, I guess, I know I'm fucking word vomiting here, but the breaking of this shoddy fake strength culture into an actual character, into an actual human being, is kind of what the progress has been moving into this. Now, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, if you've watched the last episode and how it has 0% idea of what's going to happen, I've prepped a lot to what can possibly happen. Don preps a little bit. I have nothing going into this Dargard Keep scenario. But keeping things alive and fresh and real and organic, and starting from a place of unlikely beginnings for that, I think, is the most important part to creating an arc, I guess, to make it interesting.
Okay, now
that's given me so much to think on and revealed stuff about your character that I just didn't even know. That's insane.
Oh, there is depth, and we're just starting to scratch the surface. But I want to get to this question that was brought up by chat. Aside from the current group, what is the ideal D&D party for all of you? Just divorce yourself.
Do you mean that with characters, or do you mean with cast? Because cast, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I'd bring Allison back, obviously, but
I think more like characters. Like with I see you, chat. With characters, what would be your like ideal matchup here. You personally playing whatever it is that you want.
Anything? Playing anything? I think we
Play-
just would all like, forgive the expression, but basically circle jerk over our favorite characters in Dragonlance or in Forgotten Realms. Like, I would be Gromp, Bayenre, or Raceland all day long, but if we're talking OC, I definitely would bring. If we haven't, I actually want to talk about this since Dawn said we might not keep or live through our characters through the next campaign. I would love to play Zune Vondry with this group so much because she is similar to Honoria in a lot of ways, but she is way crazier.
Like, okay, seeing chat, like putting together an all-star party, like from OCs and from established characters, who do you bring to this group? You personally, out of the ones that you want.
Hold on one second, friends.
Charlie.
What?
Hey, folks.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back. We did it.
We are back. And with that, we return to Madev 7's question of party composition. If you could bring a OC or a already established character, who would you bring to make up the ideal party? We heard from Tia and bouncing back and forth between Zune and maybe Raceland, maybe Gromp, but probably Zune. And then as we were going off, Dawn, you started mentioning your own favorite party composition.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to sound like a cop out, but I really think having read many novels and playing a lot of different settings and a lot of D&D, that Dragonlance, the Chronicles, the party composition with all of those characters is perfect, not just for all of the interpersonal drama and all the individual storylines and how they kind of cross over each other, but they're also just mechanically kind of the perfect party. They would wreck anything, and they do. They consistently win against the odds. And, you know, I think part of it is when Dragonlance was created, it wasn't, the story wasn't imagined first. It was actually the game aspects that were imagined, and then Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman, they got hired on to write the story based off of these mechanics and these characters that they'd already been, like, Raceland already had stats before they decided who Raceland was, which I think is very unique in terms of how authors, and incredibly impressive that they took that and then turned it into something that was so much their own. But very unique in that Dragonlance was already designed to be about the perfect adventuring party before the first word was ever written in the first book. So that's what sticks out in my mind.
Kiana, who would you bring?
I don't know.
I was so ready for your answer.
I
and was
don't know.
This is so good.
It's so hard. Because there's so many different factors. And I'm just like, my brain just can't think it all through. Because like each person brings in their own thing, but then each combination brings in their own thing, and there's too many permutations. So,
I will chalk it up to all of the work that you have recently done to complete your degree. Just saying things to Frazzled, that and all the fire from Lost Girls. Speaking of Lost Girls, Charlie, who would you bring?
I would bring most of the characters in The Princess Bride. Zorro would be real great too. I am all about a man in a cape and a mask with a sword. What's not to like there? I'd quite like Sam Vimes from Discworld. I think he would be really good. I think we need to see more Discworld characters being created and played. If anyone has a really good Discworld system, let me know. I'm sorry if the mic is being a bum. I will try and get it fixed. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
All right, Greg, you have experience with a multitude of parties and characters. Who would you bring along?
My go-to class for Dungeons and Dragons, regardless of edition, is Rogue. I play an asshole all the time. I play a backstabber, one with completely zero honor, a lecherous fucking waste.
What?
Like I told you, I was Reardon was riding shotgun, and we were biding our time. He had to, much like Andy Dufresne, he had to crawl through a mile of shit with me to reach freedom.
Well, that makes me just kind of look side-eye over at Don and going, hey, future all evil party? That's kind of what I'm hearing in the back of my head, all evil party.
I mean, that's my goal for this party. I'm hoping they still get there.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side.
One can dream. And speaking of dreams, Billy, who would you bring along?
You say speaking of dreams, and then Billy because I'm so dreamy. Honestly, so if you can imagine every character from every novel and every campaign that's ever been created and line them up in like a lottery system and then pick a random 5 and have Joss Whedon write the motherfucker, it's gonna be a dope ass party. The things that motherfucker can do with like a team of people is amazing. If you've never read Astonishing X-Men, he's brought new life to Colossus, to Cyclops that was not there before. But if you're asking me specific characters that I would bring in to make a party, like it requires a balance, you know, and it's about seeking that balance and having a common goal to make the party worth watching. Anybody can play what they want to play, but what's the thread that brings them all together is the important thing. I don't know. I'm gonna have to say the shit that I've been exposed to that I've loved. So like initial Dragonlance, Tanis Racing, Caramon, Tasselhoff, Flint, Sturm, like the initial party of like setting different characters and having a moral distinction amongst them to make you understand that like you could disagree with somebody and you can still get the job done. Things can still be cool if you disagree with somebody, and then go on to accomplish great things with the same group of individuals. Man, no, I don't have a specific answer for you other than those things.
That's absolutely fine.
That actually completely changes my answer because I probably would want to play as the cast of Firefly.
Cast of Firefly in D&D. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
It's
And
almost
you know
like
how you could do that. Mage Hand presses dark matter.
Hey!
Use code Grimtails for 15% off.
Combine it with that Weird West supplement, and you are good to go.
We have to get those plugs in.
Sorry, Billy, I interrupted you.
No. Speaking, I think Billy Brad. I think speaking of plugs, I have this one little question that's written in red that has an asterisk to it. And looking at the time, I'm going to ask it now. So, chat, cast, indulge me. So, I can't believe I'm having to ask this question, but I don't know the answer and I desperately want to. Dawn, who's Albin Shortlock Hammerfist, and will we see him again?
I'm not ready for this.
He used to be an adventurer.
You got the bullshit answer. You're gonna get the bullshit answer. Who is he really?
No, he's will we see Albin again? Absolutely. Of course we will see Albin again in one shape or another, in one timeline or another. He's a character that I didn't know the game needed, and you actually were the one who came up with the idea for him, and Pope. The game needs him though. The story needs him. It's a dark story, you know, and it's important that no matter how dark a story gets, that you have moments of light, you know. And I don't do a lot of that. Maybe I should do more. I don't know. But Albin is that for me. He's the most of that for me. Who he is, if he is something or someone beyond Albin Shortlock Hammerfist, is something that if he is someone else, we will find out. I will not leave that hanging. If he's not someone else, he is that, you know, necessary light.
Is he the chicken feathers fireball throwing guy of this campaign? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm picking up on?
Welcome to May Black Roses Bloom, Tia. As you can...
I didn't even think about that.
Well, that kind of got there, and I think that's probably the best kind of got there we're going to get tonight. But that does lead me to probably one of my absolute favorite questions that I just kind of threw together here that I really need to ask for the sake of a number of people in chat. Favorite holy shit moment for everybody from the campaign. I need to know. And Greg, considering your character has had a number of holy shit moments from 20 minutes into the campaign, let's start with you.
Oh yeah, that was it. That's when I knew I was in for a fucking trip. When I was ordered to, or my character was ordered to guard a street during the siege, and oh, hey, there's Lord Soth. Well, I decided to test the DM to see exactly where would we be going with this little narrative, and I decided not to back down because, well, my character would never do it anyway. But as a player, I thought I'm going to go ahead and when we rolled initiative, if you go back and watch, that's the first time that the fear sweat crept into my chainmail as I realized I'm in for something I can't bullshit my way out of, and I've loved every second of it since.
I remember you critting Lord.
I thought you were gonna die and you were gonna need new artwork. Like, I genuinely didn't think you were gonna make it past episode 1.
You struck Soth and lived. I still just lost my mind.
I'll be honest with you, when I was fighting, I at no point thought that Sir Reardon was going to die. Not because I thought Don was going to come in with some plot device and save. I just, in my soul, I knew he wasn't checking out like that. And there, honest to God, hasn't been a fight where I thought he was going down. And it scares me because I know when I feel it, it's going to be that fight. I have a high clearest tower coming at some point, and I think I'm going to know when it hits because I've never felt mortal danger for that night ever. I've felt it for every other character I've ever played, even when it hasn't been there, but for Sir Reardon, I've never felt it, and when I do, that'll be it.
That sort of like moment knowing is one of the things that I personally love about Reardon, and is something that really, like, that moment set the tone for this campaign. And it was a character defining tone. Speaking of character defining, hi Kiana. So what was your favorite holy shit moment?
There's a lot. a lot. I think most people are going to assume that I'm going to do something Avron-centric, but I think one of the biggest ones for me that's coming up to my mind right now is that fight between Reardon and that fucking stuck-ass motherfucking knight in the middle of the road, because that was the first time Legion was there. Like, that was the defining moment of Legion. That's when we saw them come and as a community just go, no, we're not gonna let them lose today here. And I think for me, just that moment of I could feel like all of this community that is supporting us right there with us. That was like, I think that was the moment for me, because I was like, oh, it's one way of kind of like knowing that people are watching and people like what you're doing, and there's a total another thing that what Legion has. Fun fact, Tales from the Grim was one of my study groups for my thesis, and I took a lot from my observations from chat and how they interact with the show and everything, and just how amazing that was. And it just was like, yeah, I think that was one of the most campaign defining moments for me, because we got to tell a story together, not just as the cast here, but also with Legion.
Yeah, no, Crossroads was one hell of an episode. And it brought a lot out of a lot of different characters, including Rook Own. So Billy, what was your favorite holy shit moment?
Man, I think at the very beginning, when Don wanted to raise the stakes and then put Soth in front of Riordan, like, you know, Act 1, Scene 1, for Riordan was just like, oh yeah, okay, what the fuck is this shit? And like, I immediately went from like 1 to 10. I was at a 10. My hands were sweaty, and I was watching. I wasn't even really involved in that. But there were so many moments of like, you know, WTF that were brought about because like Don planned for all that stuff to happen, right? And so, and something he didn't plan happened, he found a way to have it affect our characters and like a major plot way. I got some weird. Rugon got some weird stuff with the stuff in his backstory is about like him being like, this is not the path you're on. Follow this path and sew the soles of this person's feet onto your feet. I'm like, Don, what the fuck is this fucking crazy ass shit? What the hell, man? In terms of the creep out factor, that was max. And then it bled into my personal life, like that episode when I came back and I got the box from that cave and didn't give it back to the Vistani right away, and I got a curse laid on me. May or may not have been laid on me because I caved and gave the box back, because like real life Billy was like, I can't figure out what the fuck's going on here, because I'm very easily outsmarted. But how that affected my gameplay, how one simple twist of the plot line was able to like affect me on a personal level and have that echo through Rugon. And then the hordes of vampire Kender that at the end of season 1 that they kind of swarmed Kiana, and I took her down at first. Like I did not foresee that shit happening at all.
Yeah, vampire Kender are quite a surprise. A noted feature of Sithicus, but still surprising. So what surprised you, Tia? What holy shit moment stands out for you?
I'm gonna totally derail everything that's going on with the seriousness of this. And holy shit, I played a Kender. Like, oh my god, Sergeant Sweetpine, everybody. For me, that was a huge holy shit moment personally, because I have a deep hatred of Kender. I don't say hatred. It's like, when I say hatred, I mean like obviously not a hatred, but I find the little bastards annoying. And for me to play a Kender was a holy shit moment in role-playing in general for me. And in that episode, which was actually not Honoria's, one of my flashback episodes, there were 2 holy shit moments. One is for tomorrow. That will stick with me for the rest of my life. That feeling what I felt there, I don't know how to explain it. It was I think there's certain times in our lives, or the best way I've ever been able to sum it up is after you go to like a superhero movie and you get like that feeling of you can change the world kind of thing. That's the exact same kind of emotions that are invoked in me from that moment. Is I can make a difference, I can do something. You know, we may be on the front lines here and our army might not be that big, but we are the companions, we can do this. And Sergeant Sweetpine handing off Lorana's dagger and ring and just saying, but I want to stay with you, and then having to be separated in that moment was an oh shit moment of, oh shit, the campaign, the story lives on regardless of characters at this point. It's always been a party dynamic, but it really hit me then of, no matter what happens, this story is going to continue, and we're probably never going to see Sergeant Sweetpine again, but she had a little bit to put in to something that was brought forward. And for tomorrow is the chant of the campaign now. I would say it's definitely the hashtag. It's what we all lean on, and we make the jokes about the 4 tomorrows for chronomancy and stuff like that, but that whole episode for me was my, oh shit, there's something bigger than the individual here. The story here is bigger than even our characters. There's something special being woven in here. Josh is in the background going, for tomorrow.
The in-card campaign was something else. And Charlie, you're joining this merry band, and you've been watching episodes. Is there a holy shit moment that sticks out for you?
Okay, so I actually have a couple. We've already mentioned Riordan facing down Lord Soth. That was like, Don's actually gonna kill someone in the first episode. All right, let's go. But amazing first episodes and introductions. Honoria, when Tia pulled down her cloak hood for the first time, started casting magic. When we let her see her changing time in the most badass team play ways, that's different, that's new, that's exciting, that's something really magic. We have a lot of D&D, we have a lot of magic, but that's like real magic. That's serious shit. And then when Rook Owen got feeble-minded, had his intelligence sucked from him, and we saw Billy move from playing Rook Owen as Rook Owen to this bestial snuffling creature, that was another kind of magic. And finally, chat losing their shit over Averin and the ship during that final episode. I messaged John afterwards like, I'm not prepared. I'm not ready. I'm scared. Because it's such an intense community in the best of ways. It is so supportive of everything that these people are creating. And it's amazing to see people interact with the stream to the degree where they're that invested in a story. And that's another kind of magic. And so, yeah, I have favorite moments for everyone here. I'm still catching up. I still haven't seen all of them, but I do remember watching that very first episode and the second episode of all those character introductions. And I was like, this is new, this is intense, and I like it.
Well, I look forward to yours, Charlie. I look forward to Agatha's appearance on screen. And now, going back to the painter. Dawn, what's been one of your favorite, just like surprising holy shit moments sitting in that chair?
I mean, there's been a whole lot, and not like holy shit, both in a surprising way, but also in like I'm just so happy watching these people play their characters the way that they're playing them, investing so much, and that's true for all of them. I think my first surprise, like my first real surprise, was when Sabria when Sabria cast Fireball on the King Priest in episode 2. I mean, not that I'm surprised that it escalated into violence, but it just came out of nowhere. She Allison interrupted, I think, something I was saying to say, I cast Fireball. It's like, oh, well, all right, let's get going. But there have been a lot of great moments. One of the things that surprised me the most, and it's not an individual moment, but is all of the payoff collectively that the flashbacks had. And I know we're not doing like full flashback episodes moving forward, so that we can kind of keep the story moving forward at this point. But I love those flashback episodes, and all of them had their defining moments. The moment where Honoria gets the Bloodstone, and she saves the lives of 2 young wizards that she did not have to save. That paints Honoria in a light that maybe you didn't think she was capable of that level of compassion. Equally in that episode, when you see her with her master and how she interrelates with her master at the very beginning of the episode, I think that's a character defining moment. And for Riordan, For Tomorrow, that entire episode is so epic, and it defines who he is, how people see him, the way that they see him, even though the characters we know now didn't know him then. he holds himself with a level of demand to be respected and heard and taken seriously that he deserves, because he is already a hero. And that's Riordan, you know, and every Rookon, when he challenges his Groneth, that scene, watching Rookon destroy his life, watching like we talked about like the toxic masculinity just kind of take over and ruin his life, ruin his friends' lives, ruin the people that his crew, ruin their lives, and seeing how that now that I don't know if Rookon would be. You talked about an arc earlier, making the comeback that he's making now in terms of trying to be a better, more compassionate, more understanding creature. If we hadn't done that flashback episode, that moment hadn't happened. And for Averin, I didn't know that the Hawthorne story would turn into what it turned into. You know, we already had all these layers that she was, you know, over time had built up with her father, and the twist of it being Fist and Dantalus, which I think is fun, but it's fun. And her sister abandoning her to the swarm of vampires after their very, you know, contested relationship. But for her to find love and to change the way that she's changed in such a self-destructive way, there's no easy answers for any of these characters. You know, they're all imperfect, and I think they're all very admirable. And my best oh shit moments all have to do with seeing just how real they are. I have I feel a lot of love for the players when those moments happen.
Now to get some of those questions that have happened in chat. One specifically for Riordan. So, Unfallible Knight. If Soth would release, save the Golden General, and all that he needed was you to serve under him, would Riordan take the deal?
No. Next question.
I knew that right away. I was like, fuck no.
I am just an agent of the Legion. I had to ask.
No, I love the. No, I'm being an asshole. Riordan would never do it because Lorana would never want him to do that. She is a knight as much as he is. She's more so. She abides to a code of honor that she never really accepted, but did so she could effectively lead those that believed in it, which makes her stronger than everyone else that swore to that oath. And if he did that she could never forgive or look past that, and she would never want it. And if he was gauging his actions and mannerisms and agreement on the code and Lorana, both would be dissatisfied with that outcome. He would never do it. He'd kill him and free her anyway. That's coming.
Now, from Lindy, I see you. What is everyone's happy, funny moment of the campaign so far?
I know. My favorite happy, funny moment is when Averin went down into the torture. My favorite funny moment was Tia getting to ride a Minotaur in a D&D game.
Oh, yeah!
AKA Honoria riding around on Rookon, charging through walls and having the best of times. That is 100% my favorite moment.
In one of the darkest stories thus far, that was something else. Speaking of barreling through transitions, Billy, what has been your favorite funny, light moment?
Funny moment? When Averin died the first time. Just kidding.
You took mine.
Oh, fuck off, y'all.
Oh man. Dude, I think my favorite funny moment was when I was expecting, it was right before Sir Jeremy, before Sir Riordan and Jeremy were going to do the one-on-one, and I asked him if he wanted to hop on Pop. but kind of glad it didn't work out that way, so it could have the impact that it had when I was feeble-minded and Honoria did it. But funny moment. I don't the drinking game with Sabria. With my constitution, I did not think that I would fail to her greatness, apparently, in drinking, but she rocked me good, and the consequences of that were something to behold.
Yeah, combined with the time fuckery, it had double meaning. And
rock parchment cheers.
Yes. We need emotes. Speaking of emoting, hey Greg, what has been your favorite funny moment?
I have a couple. One that fucking tickled me to no end was when Honoria got absolutely jacked up by Sir Jeremy's horse.
When she knew you were gonna say that. I hate you both.
She's like, I'm gonna sneak up. Well, rolling animal handling, nat 1, and Dawn it was glee. It was pure uncut cocaine glee from Donathan as he was like, oh, this is it. This is it. I love that moment. That moment is absolutely fantastic. I love anything with Albin in it. The voice alone is worth the price of admission. But selfishly, my favorite not funny, haha, but fun, like, fuck, yes. The kid in me that created Riordan, fastball special with Billy. When we did this fastball special and then Billy critted the charge, that was... Listen, X-Men and Dragonlance, and that's my childhood. That was super duper fun.
And fun and horses, Tia.
Yeah, y'all suck. Actually, when Rookong raged and took the dead wolf and then just started beating somebody with the wolf was probably my favorite. Is this really fucking happening moment? But every other funny moment, unfortunately, isn't one that that chat gets to see, because my favorite moments are usually when other people are on screen and we're in the green screen room and we're just making faces, talking shit, like those behind the scenes, not streamed moments. Like Kiana just yesterday in the green room in Twitter, we were giving, one of the reasons I'm sure we're giving her so much shit today is because we talked about how we love giving each other shit. We're on that level of friendship now where we understand it's poking fun, and I don't think any of us are extremely hurt by it. We have a really good cast dynamic. But yeah, the behind the scenes shenanigans are what helped me get through this campaign, I guess.
Yeah, no, I know a good portion of Legion just wants like a Kiana reaction cam that we just like have in like the bottom.
I wanted to do that. I toyed around with doing that for Patreon or something like that, but time just slipped away from me. I wanted to record our faces behind it, but I think there is a little bit of something sacred in the green room and not recording us and allowing us just that little bit of shit that you don't see, so that we can kind of get it off of our chest. We do have our after talk, our post show talk can go sometimes for an hour to like 2 hours. We'll just sit here shooting the shit afterwards and laughing about the stupid fucking things that we've put Dawn through.
And Dawn, what has been like the moment of levity that you just cherish as a moment from this campaign?
Yeah, there's some really good ones. It's surprisingly, like, some of the romantic stuff and I like, first my brain goes to the Honoria flashback. You had all these young wizard characters. There's an all wizard episode, one shot. And like seeing like the young wizards like trying to bumble through awkward social interactions and kind of flirt with each other. And Greg was playing this blind this blind wizard who was very, very good-hearted, and he and Honoria took to each other. And that dynamic I thought was really heartwarming. When they started trying to kill each other, the dynamic changed. But it ended up, overall, it ended up at the end of it, she made some, not selfish choices. And seeing the moments that led up to that was really cool. Likewise, I remember the very first episode, the first scene with Sir Riordan wasn't the Lord Saw scene. He started at a party, and at a party he met a little boy named Humphrey, and seeing Greg both respond to the sort of classism and awfulness of the people who were at that party, but also try to impart, as part of Greg is Greg's a dad. And Riordan, though he's not a father, in that moment, there's a connection with the boy. And I thought that was a really cool moment. I think about that one a lot. I think about the scene he has with Lorana, both there, but that one's a little darker because there's a lot of loaded context there. But then in the Vanguard campaign, when Lorana, when the For Tomorrow moment happened, that wasn't a heavy moment. That wasn't a sad moment. That was, it kind of came out of nowhere and it became something. And like Tia said, it became the rallying cry for everyone in chat and for us as a cast. And that was organic, and feeling that in the moment, watching it happen, that was really cool. So there's been a lot of great levity moments with characters. Obviously, wolf asses and beating people to death with them, always fun. Riding Minotaurs, always fun. I remember Josh had a really fun time riding a dragon and just plowing through a horde of goblins and cutting through them.
Josh has also never done Dragonlance before, so I was super jealous about that he was riding a Dragonlance dragon, and I loved that he had no idea how fucking special that was just great.
Oh, it was a great moment. And the glee on Josh's face in that episode when he was riding the dragon, that was the most childlike joy that I could imagine. And seeing that come out of a game, seeing that come out of a story was awesome. So yeah, I have a lot of them. Those are a few of them.
Okay. Getting ready to bring to a close as we come into this next and final season. There's just one significant thing I want to bring up with all of you. One of the themes that has been played out a lot in this campaign has been prophecy. And we've heard a number of them. I know I have my own little pet theories behind a couple, but all of the different prophetic and mysterious things that have been brought forth in the campaign, because this is not for Dawn, this is for the rest of the cast. Which prophecy or mystery sticks out to you, and what do you think the truth is? So, Kiana, let's start with you.
I mean, obviously that that one that everyone yelled at me about, of the freaking the half elf must die situation, because everyone yelled at me about it afterwards. They're like, you gotta try. So I'm interested to see what fucking half elf there's a bunch of them in play.
Yep.
So who knows? One of them may have, Avern technically died and then came back, so maybe that nullifies it. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. So that's one that I'm kind of mulling over as I wonder what that one has to say. But in general, prophecies and the idea of fate is super interesting in this game, and how much we play with the idea of whether something's fated or not, and whether we're destined towards down a path of darkness in these lands, or if we can do something else with it. And of course for Avern, the one major one for her is you gotta help save the world with your dad, because that's what you were made to do. So she's had that on her mind. Not like she totally loves that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that pressure on top of that outside force. Yeah. So, one who's been wrapped up in a number of different mysterious things, as well as prophecy, Tia. Which of the myriad mysteries, boxes, and unknowables have you been obsessing over, and your pet theory?
The first one that comes to mind, I didn't really want to say out loud because it's so selfish, and it really is, but it's just all about me and Raceland at this point, and where that leads, and how that story ends, and will he be my Shalify, and what is the Lake of Sounds, and where can I find it? And it haunts me. I rewatch episodes, I go through notes, and I don't have an ending theory for it. So that's part of why I didn't want to say that one out loud, but I don't know what's going on there and what is tied in with Honoria's past and why Raceland has chosen her for this journey. And I get, honestly, like a sinking, nauseous feeling in my stomach when I think about it. And kudos to Dawn for being able to bring prophecy to life, which is often so poorly handled in fantasy, not alone like D&D games, but just in fantasy in general. And, you know, going back and seeing Lord Soth, I think, at the Lake of Sounds and in the future and what that all means for all of us is that's my bread and butter right there.
Charlie, as someone from the outside in learning all of these things, is there a particular mystery or prophecy that sticks out to you and maybe Agatha has a part in?
There sure is, and it's a whole new prophecy. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, Legion, we've got that to look forward to. Hey, Billy, you've handled some mysteries, including the one that I like to refer to as the 7 mystery, because what's in the box. Is there one particular one that sticks out to you?
Yeah, the stuff that's been happening in visions and in dreams and in chance encounters that he so there's 2 particular characters, like the beast on the hill with the like the madmen, like everyone around them is insane, and then the person who's trying to encourage like stitching the soles of feet. Like those are 2 separate things that we've been introduced to that, like, I don't know what's up. Don does. I don't. So that's a mystery I'm really looking to explore, and because they've been like watching me. So in terms of the progress of Rukon, like how are they reacting to that? I do not know. But something that heavy is like, you know, Chekhov's pistol. It's something that like something they have to explore it. Yeah, there's something that has to be said about the introduction to this crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, the Isle, the Garden of Madmen, and the Soul Stitcher. Like, we think the Soul Stitcher. I mean, we don't. There's something there, and I still can't wrap my head around it. So it's been one of those things that's just kind of like been gnawing.
Yeah.
For ages in the back of my head. So I have this terrible feeling that now that Rook is in the court of Soth, that individual will rear its head again. And I don't know if I want the answers.
And the only time he's had like an in-person, like a not dream sequence interaction was in that cave outside the Vistani camp where he was challenged to like take the soles of another person's foot, and like he wanted to make his own choices, and that was his big decision. It's like, I'm not going to have anybody else make my decisions. I'm going to make my own way. So I don't know the impact of that decision on this whole arc, but those things still exist in the past to be explored.
Greg, you have a bunch of ones hanging over Riordan's head, including one I'm most personally invested in, the half-elf theory. So, is there a particular prophecy or mystery that just kind of like grabs a hold of you?
This question is very funny for me because Sir Riordan is unaware of like 99% of these prophecies that have been. I mean, Kelvin, everybody has had like prophecies and stories and bad ill omen, and Riordan hasn't. He hasn't like come face to face with, this is going to happen, or you cursed somebody, or had a vision. He supposedly talked to Paladine at one point, but the problem with, well, not the problem, I prefer this. Unless he receives an order from a commanding officer, he is the highest ranking knight in this land. So he is on his own according to the oath and the measure. Therefore, he follows only his own rules as his own superior officer. Anything that he sees as like a vision or a bit of phrase written on a wall, or what any of these other people tell him, he will calmly look at, nod, agree to listen to, and then immediately disregard if it is against whatever he thinks. And it is freeing, and I love it, and I love listening to everybody, and at the same time not. So as far as these prophecies are concerned, I'm really off the hook here. Everybody else has had this horrible shit kind of happen to them, or half-elf's gonna die, Lake of Sounds, all these, Fistan Dantalus and Raceland fighting over Honoria, Sabria having all this like terrible shit kind of like looming over her, and Rook, who like fucking what's in the box and that whole mess. So prophecy schmophecy. I mean, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm torn because to give Legion an insight into Kelvin's head, there's 3 half-elves, and he doesn't know which one Riordan has to give up in order to live.
Right, but Riordan doesn't know any of that.
Yeah,
he has no idea that there's he has to save a half-elf or let a half-elf die, or there's a half-elf in jeopardy. Everybody knows things like, to get the knight to do this, you've got to do that. Riordan doesn't know any of that is going on. So he's just following his own stuff. And I thank Don that I don't have to take that many notes.
And on that note, I want to thank all of you, Legion, for having us and indulging me this wonderful evening. And thank you, cast, for a wonderful night of stories, of reflection, because D&D is really a game about nostalgia, where we get together, we tell these stories, we experience them, and then the other half of that joy is going back and reflecting on those moments and being there again. So thank you for this opportunity, everyone. And thank you, Legion, for being there day in, day out, and sharing these stories with us. And with that, I'll give things back over to Don.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. I loved this. This was a lot of fun. All the questions were great. We found out some new things, but I think we managed to avoid any major spoilers, so that's good. I think we were probably pretty close a couple of times. I will say this. Well, no, I won't. I won't say it. I won't say.
No,
it.
you have to. You have to give. Listen, some people.
John.
We've got Legion that have been with us for the past couple hours. Give them a taste. There's nothing that we can do to stop what's going to happen, Don. Give us a taste. Give us that peek into the first page of season 3. I personally think you owe it to all of us.
Yeah.
We will begin season 3 where we left off season 2. That is for sure.
You were the worst.
No, I'll give us a couple of things. First off, and I wanted to do this anyways, we have a little bit of a party split coming up because of how last season ended with Rook Own, which is one of my favorite oh shit moments that I didn't know was going to happen, is that and I should have seen it coming, that Billy was going to decide to try to tackle and pin Lord Saw to the ground. I know Billy in real life, and this is how he solves, most problems.
You're not wrong.
So we have a little bit of a party split, and then that's actually kind of exciting in a lot of ways. It's going to provide us the opportunity to slow down the story for the characters and introduce new elements. So next episode, we will have Rookon's story, and we will have Charlie's new character story, Agatha. We're going to introduce her into the main cast. We're also going to have a couple of guests. We have Simon, aka Wandering DM, coming in, and he has a great backstory that he's worked on, and he's going to be with us for a couple of episodes. And we have Lindy, Laugh Love Lindy, coming in to play a Kender, which is I'm so excited about that. So it's so perfect. I'm really, really excited for that.
I'm so happy too.
So we'll have that going on, and then we'll bounce back the following week. We'll go back to Harthalen, and where we last saw Sir Riordan resurrecting ? Honoria, where Averin is survived watching Hawthorne die and is now an undead creature. And we learned last episode that the undead in this land are ultimately drawn to the city of Kalamon in the north. And I'll just leave that there for everybody to think about, because one of our party is now no longer breathing, technically. So, yeah, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. So there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of characters, and because we will be split up for a few weeks, until the companions come back together, we have some opportunities to play around with some things. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be a different pace to the start of next season. And like I said before, next season is going to go on a little bit longer, because I am determined to make sure that that all of your characters, their plot lines play out, their prophecies or whatever, maybe not prophecy isn't the right word for all of them, has a chance to resolve itself in a way that's the culmination of choices and dice rolls, which is what D&D is all about. And to that end, I think maybe Greg, you have some things coming up too. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I'm real excited about this season. To me, you set up if you had a 3-act play, Act 3 is where all of the cards in the House of Cards fall down, and where they fall down and how they fall down, what shape that is, I don't know, but I'm really excited about it. Yeah, that's it for me. So thank you all for being here tonight in Legion. Thank you very much for your support for the show. We're really excited to be back and to have our guests on, and to explore the new characters and the old characters. Like I said, some of the donation stuff is changing because we're getting close to the end of the show. Certain things are going to just be a little bit different. Like I think at the end of May, no longer will characters have a freebie from death. That's gonna go away, because that's what is right for the story, I think. So,
but I love kill us all.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not outright, anyways. But yeah, I'm really excited for the story. I'm very grateful for all the time we've spent together so far, and the time we're going to spend together over the course of the summer, and for whatever happens after that. And I'm very grateful for everybody who cares about the story that we're telling and is part of it. That energy that chat gives us is the reason why, that one of the very first questions you asked, Pope, was like, why? And I answered fear before, but also it's more than just fear. It's like the actual physical energy that's coming off the screen when people are typing nice things and guessing about the characters and the plot and everything. All of that matters so much to me. And it's just fuel. And I think that's true for everybody. So it's very much like a stage production where you have an audience and you feed off the energy of the audience. That is true for what we're doing too. And I really love that aspect of it. But that's it for me. Let's go around in a circle, say goodbye. If you guys are up to anything cool, let us know where we can find you, what you're up to. We will be back next week, and then the week after. I'll start with myself. I'm Donathan Fry on Twitter. Follow me. I am currently have a bunch of writing projects come up. I love writing D&D adventures, and I have some really cool ones coming up that I'll be teasing here soon and talking more about. And I will also shout out tomorrow, I'm in a Game of Thrones campaign over on Sam's channel. He's involved with Modifius. We're doing Green Ronin system. I will post a thing about it on my Twitter with a link. So if you aren't already subscribed to Sam's channel, definitely subscribe. It's a really cool cast, and everybody loves Game of Thrones. I'm really excited about my character and my terrible accent that I'll be doing tomorrow. So come check me out. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what I'm up to. But let's go around in a circle. Billy.
Hey. Dude, this was so much fun. I just like hanging out with y'all in IRL. It's cool. It's refreshing. I can't wait till we get to hang out at like a con. And then you get to see me do stupid shit when I'm drunk. This is so much fun, and I'm glad we get to talk about like our experiences and how much fun this particular game is and how it affects our personal lives. It's cool to just be around people that are okay with feeling things. You know, if you spend the rest of your like life, your miserable life like I do, and you're around people that are like meatheads and choose not to feel things and just, you know, type A personalities with a get shit done, like this is my haven. This is my like island where I get to hang out with people and I get to express myself and I get to feel things with people who also feel things, and we can share it, and it's amazing. In any format. I don't do anything else outside of streaming for this particular setting. I work a lot and I perform on the weekends at a theater, but this is by far the highlight of my week. And I really enjoy Legion. I really enjoy everybody tuning in on VODs, YouTube and Twitch. Thank you guys for paying attention. And I really enjoy my castmates. This is a surreal experience. And this is what this community and role-playing is all about for me. So thank you guys. Thank Don and Greg for putting in all this effort. Thank Kiana for modding. Thank Tia for everything that she does. Thank Charlie for putting in so much time and effort and commitment to all of her projects. Thank Pope for putting all his time and commitment and efforts into all of his projects and for loving us so much. And thank fucking Legion for wanting to be a part of this, for wanting to share our dreams with them. It's fucking phenomenal.
Awesome. I'll actually do this right now because I just remembered that we have polls that we hit like in the first 30 seconds. Let's see who won these polls. We have two of them. So the first one.
Betting Reardon.
Which character is visited by an old friend the next time they go to sleep? I'm seeing a 50-50 split between Rookon and Sir Riordan, so that's awesome. That means I get to do it twice, or do two different things. So Sir Riordan and Rookon, you shall be visited. And also visited, which character is visited by a powerful enemy the next time they go to sleep? I'm really excited to find out who won this one. Oh, no, it's you.
What? No!
I already had my dream bullshit. Y'all get to have yours.
She does. She kind of deserves a little bit of a break for like an episode or two. So Honoria, you will also be visited. Thank you guys for voting on those. I love our polls. They always bring me a lot of joy. Let's keep speaking of visited, Honoria, Tia.
Good times. Huge inspirations for this campaign besides my lovely cast and crew. Obviously, Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman, the writers of Dragonlance, the people who created Ravenloft as well. Terry Goodkind has a lot of influence on my D&D style. My original role-playing group, which some of them pop in and out of chat from 22 years ago, us being kids and rolling dice, hang out here. It's just incredible to be able to share this story. And of course, Josh, whom I love with all my heart, even though he's in the other room watching zombies being lazy. Mondays, you can find me Age of Arcana, 5 o'clock PST, which is a homebrew world, which is actually done by Wandering DM. It's going to be published hopefully later this year. Tuesdays, I'm in The Long March at 2 o'clock p.m. PST, which is actually the 3rd season of The Long March, where I get to play my lovely character, Zune Vondry, who is very near and dear to my heart as well. Wednesdays, you can find me here, annoying these fine people. Thursdays is always some sort of Critical Role viewing party, whether it's at Esports Arena or whether it's being viewed here at home or if we're just talking in chat. Fridays, open, sadly. Saturday is going to be over on Encounter Roleplay with their new Pirates campaign, which I don't know if I was supposed to announce that yet anyways, but fuck you, Will, I did it. And Sundays also free at the moment, and in that free time, I'm either playing Magic the Gathering, Neverwinter, hanging out in chat, or cooking a ridiculous amount of food for no reason. That's me.
Yay. Cool. Let's go on over to Charlie. Hi, Charlie. This is the first time you got to play with us, kind of. Did you have fun tonight?
I am super grateful you didn't ask me to roll any dice, because I still need to figure out this cleansing of this curse, because I'm done. I am seriously done. It's been 2 weeks.
You need to make a sacrifice to Eric Vulgaris. We all know this.
I will offer him things to get this dice curse gone, okay? Moving that to one side for a second. This is a season of new things, and I am, like that. I am super excited to start all of the new things and start playing Agatha. She is an Eldritch Knight, which I feel like I can share that information. I think I mentioned it on Twitter already anyway. So yeah, that is coming up. Dwarf magic, people. It's gonna be fun. And yeah, lots of new things. I'm in the Game of Thrones campaign that Don mentioned that's coming up tomorrow on RPG Webby's channel. I also have premiering on this channel on May 12th a new Call of Cthulhu campaign called Sky Chasers, featuring the wonderful Greg and the wonderful Edelyn, who's in chat, and I've just seen her costume and I am so stupid excited. It's going to be set in the 1950s. There's going to be aliens, there's going to be FBI agents. It's going to be real cool. If you like X-Files or Fringe, those kinds of shows, come and check that out on Sundays. We're in the 4 p.m. Eastern slot. Also coming up, this new... Oh crap, I just hit that wall of... Am I meant to talk about this yet? Let's just say those two things are new. And yeah, I'm super excited to start playing those and have new wigs and make my beard, because I rock a beard, Chad. I will not have any of your negativity. And I would like to promote the wearing of eyeshadow beards, of real beards, of fake hair beards, of pulling your, oh, I can't do it, I haven't got any hair anymore, you know, your long lengths across your upper lip and making the epic handlebar tash. And I highly support everyone making believe, bringing characters who have been there for them into games, making new friends, and having fun rolling dice. Even if it's always nat ones. It's okay. It's okay. Shout out to Lindy, because she's amazing.
Yes.
Shout out to Lindy, because she is amazing. I'm really excited to have you. I love your character. And next week, it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a whole thing.
I just remembered one thing that I did forget to plug. This weekend on Sunday is a Lost Girls Q&A. So if you like Q&As, come and hang out there. Most of the cast is going to be there, sadly. Kiera is away on holiday. But if you have questions for her, hit her up on the Twitters. We have a huge, exciting announcement. So yeah, come and check that out and come and see us. We're 1980s vampires. We had a blast for season 1. And yeah, I should have remembered about that, because that's my show as well.
What time is it on Sunday?
It is at 3 p.m. Eastern over on WebDM.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody's doing cool things. Please check them out. And also Pope, man, thank you so much for having this idea tonight. Thank you for making it happen and having really great questions. I took notes. I was listening very intently to what people were saying, so it was helpful for me too. And I just had most of all, I had a really good time. It's been a minute since we had since Kelvin was in an episode. Although I guess we will get Kelvin again. We will have one final chapter of his story. So I'm excited about that too. But thank you so much for everything you've done tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you all for having me. Tonight was fantastic, and was able to get some answers. Not all the answers, but get some answers. If you're looking for more of my silly face, you can find me over on Counter Josh's channel on Tuesdays, also part of the Long March, where you get to see me explore being a gnome. Otherwise, you can just find me all about Twitter at Pope World Build, or here lurking in chats all over Twitch as World Build. And I look forward to seeing you, Legion, very soon.
And I mean this for you, Pope, but for also anybody watching. If you have more questions, go to our Discord. I'll post a link here, an invite to the Discord, but go to the Discord, ask in the May Black Roses Bloom chat, and I can't promise you that I'll give you an answer or tell you the truth, but I will at least think about it. So, but please do, yeah. If you have questions that didn't get answered tonight, I love that people are interested in the mysteries of things, and so that's the part that I really love too. So I'm really glad that we got to do this. I will post that here, but in the meantime, let's go over to Greg. Hey, man.
Kiana, did you talk? Kiana,
no, I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
Fired.
So good. Streaming
hey,
hard.
Kiana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, Greg.
Poor Kiana. This whole fucking episode.
Tell us about what fun things you're going to have going on, and vacation and life as a graduate and all that great stuff.
No, I missed you guys so much. I missed talking with y'all. You guys can find me over on Twitter at KianaS. Best way to figure out what I'm doing. Come over the internet, play role-playing games almost every day of the week, except a little less so, because I'm going on vacation for the first time in like a few years. So I'm going to be basically offline for this weekend. But I'll be checking in the Twitter, where I have a whole bunch of stuff going up there, show announcements, as well as a lot of cool writing projects I'm starting to get to do now that I'm done school. Super excited to talk about those. And of course, my thesis, which is about D&D live streaming and the impact that audience has on the story. It's basically a love letter study to the community. It has a research report and also a guide, which kind of breaks down everything for streamers or people in the community and all that stuff. So go and check that out. It's a pinned tweet on my thing. And come hang out with us on Discord. I love talking about everything and anything on there. I'm Mod Mom, so I'm basically almost always there. And I'll be back in a couple weeks as a player, but otherwise I'll be in chat and cheering and yelling and making a lot of faces that y'all can't see.
Kiana is the best.
It's too late for you.
No, Kiana is the best. I said it.
It's too late for you.
I love you, Don. It's okay.
Hey, Greg. How are you? Greg, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great, buddy. Just a quick couple things to let the Legion go after a night of revelations and fun. Here on the channel, Tales from the Grim, we have a couple fun things coming tomorrow night. We have the continuation of our Fall of Faerun campaign, which is barreling towards its end. We have 2 more episodes left. Community event. We start with 5 players. As they die off, they are replaced with members of the Legion and the community. They are almost there, but being close to your goal is not the same thing as reaching it. We will see how they do tomorrow night here at 7 p.m. Eastern. A couple other fun things that are coming up on the channel. We're gonna get into some big trouble, And coming up here in the next couple weeks, we are going to be jumping into the world of John Carpenter. I've talked about it a little bit on Discord. All of the movies that kind of helped shape my twisted childhood, I'm going to bring out into a multi-season event. So we're going to see famous characters from across Escape from New York, The Fog, The Thing, Halloween, Big Trouble in Little China. Bring them all out, play through them, brand new adventures, see how that all plays out, and build a world together, which is always what we like to do here on Tales from the Grim. I will also remind you, if you're looking to build a world, I would definitely go to Mage Hand Press and type in the code GrimTales for 15% off Dark Matter and whatever else your heart's content. And my God, how are you going to play these games without polyhedral something or others? I would then go to Die Hard Dice and I would type in the code The Grim, get 15% off your dice, and by God, I've given you 15% off everything you could possibly ever want. And this group has given you 15% off of boredom. And hopefully we can jack that up to 20, maybe even 21% here in season 3. We are going to really try to put the fucking hammer down, and I might even do a Nightbot mod at some point, a command. I'm a little tired right now, so I'll get to it in a week or two. But we'll see. Anywho, that's all I've got. Don, anything else you've got?
Nope.
All right. Well, fuck it then. We'll see you all next week. Thank you all. No, Legion, we love you all so much. Join us over on Discord. Let's talk about stuff, especially the if you have interest in Big Trouble, please join us over on Discord. We'll talk about it. A lot of possibilities there for that one, and I want to start talking as soon as we can. But as the campfire goes down, there's only one thing left to say. You can't always roll nat 20s, but you can always motherfucking role play. See you next week. I love you all, believe it or not.